Hi guys, welcome to the channel. Thank you for joining me and thank you for your continued support. Well, there's quite a few things to talk about actually that's going on at the moment, and so I'm going to have to do a couple of videos today. Do apologise, I know I don't normally do it, but I think I'm going to have to do that to cover what I want to talk about. First of all, I'm going to be talking about Keir Starmer, and I told you before about the select committee that was going to be looking into the green paper, into the benefit cuts that are currently in consultation. Well, they've just been speaking to Keir Starmer about the situation and about some of the things that they are concerned about, and his language was very telling in this grilling. Well, I guess not really a grilling, but in this interview that he had, his language was very telling, and certainly to me suggests where his mind is and what his thinking is here. So let's have a look at the article and I'll show you what I mean. Right, so here we are. Keir Starmer criticises Watchdog's benefits forecasts. Now, the Prime Minister, Sir Keir Starmer, was criticised how the Office of Budget Responsibility Watchdog has analysed the impact of his benefit changes. He appeared at a parliamentary committee and he said the OBR, which monitors public spending plans, had assumed that not a single person would change their behaviour as a result of the government's proposal. He said, I personally struggle with that way of looking at it because I do think these measures will make a material difference. The Prime Minister hopes that his plans will include making it harder to claim disability payments, will save money and help get more people into work. However, there is uneasiness among his own MPs over the cuts. Sir Keir was challenged over the plans during an appearance in front of the Parliamentary Liaison Committee made up of senior MPs. Debbie Abrahams, chairwoman of the Work and Pensions Committee, noted an impact assessment produced by the government that said that changes will push 250,000 people into poverty, while the Joseph Rowntree Foundation charity put it at nearly 400,000. The Labour MP said children who grow up in poverty are more likely to struggle to find work or employment later in life, and asked the Prime Minister how he would ensure his approach addressed the root causes of poverty rather than add to them. And he said, on the impact assessments, it is significant to my mind that the ability of any policy or legislation to change any behaviour is not at all priced in. The OBR has scored nothing against any change here. The assumption is not a single person changes their behaviour. Now that suggests to me that he believes this is a choice, that being on benefits is a lifestyle choice, which is what a lot of the, a lot of mainstream media, a lot of the public who aren't involved in disabilities think that it's a lifestyle choice. And this just shows to me that he believes it's a lifestyle choice as well. He doesn't see it as someone who is disabled losing money and therefore not being able to survive. He sees it as someone who says they're disabled, loses their money and thinks, okay, well then I'll go back to work, and then goes back to work. This is very worrying for me, because this suggests to me that the Prime Minister doesn't believe that there are hardly anyone out there, or not a lot of people out there, that are actually legitimately on benefits, despite the fact that his own figures suggest that there is very little fraud in the benefit system. It's very worrying, this choice of language that he's taken about changing behaviour. What behaviour is he hoping to change? If someone is disabled, if someone has a long-term illness and cannot work, then simply taking their money away is not going to change their behaviour. I mean, even if they decide, actually, yes, I do want to work, who's going to employ the people who have a limited capacity to work? Who's going to employ them? How are they going to be able to get a job in the first place? Very worrying language that he's used here. And also in this article, which is also talking about that, this actually talks about specific people. A Labour MP has told Keir Starmer disabled people have told her they are full of panic about the future over controversial benefit cuts. Sarah Owen told the Prime Minister the reforms announced a fortnight ago had caused quite a bit of stress for some people who fear they may lose support. She read out examples from her own inbox, saying one told her, I'm beyond stressed with the anticipation of losing money. I have £700 to live on this month. Another one said, the proposed cuts to disability benefits have left me full of panic about the future and extremely let down. Mrs. Owen said a third person had written to her saying, I feel sick, physically sick. The whole process is horrid. Please represent me. Pressed on what he would say to them, the PM insisted that the government would continue to help those who do need support and protection. Another Labour MP, Debbie Abrahams, who was the chair, asked Keir Starmer how he would ensure the reforms do not push people into poverty, after grim official forecasts. And that's the bit where he then goes on to criticise the OBR for not factoring in the people who would go back to work. And I think the reason why they haven't done that is because, you know, there are very few people, you know, and the government's own figures bear this out, minute amount of people who are on benefits that really can work. Very small amount. Most people who are on benefits who can work do work. And also, where are the jobs? You know, how can they factor this in if there aren't jobs out there to do it? So, you know, this is very concerning for me in terms of the language that he's used. It shows that he isn't very, you know, he isn't very keen on disabled people. It doesn't look like he has a lot of sympathy for disabled people. Not that disabled people are looking for sympathy. They just want, you know, support for what they want. You know, support for what they need. It doesn't look like he wants to do that. He doesn't want to give taxpayers' money to disabled people, even though they need support. He just doesn't seem to want to do that. And to say that this is going to produce a change of behaviour is very concerning for me. But let me know down in the comment section what you think about this. I'd love to hear your thoughts, as always. And please do subscribe if you've got this far to hear more news from disability and benefits and things like that. And I'll see you next time.